So one of the most frequently asked questions that I get when I take my vehicle out to an event is how I did the rust effect on septic tank and Mercedes and things like that. I think septic tank is a more extreme example of the look I like. Some people will paint their cars with rust. Some people will grind it down to bare metal and then and keep some paint on there. I don't like that look because you can see the fade between the primer and the paint, and I think it looks a little forced. But I like to burn the hell out of my metal, and that's all I do. I take pieces off, I throw it in the fire, I make a big bonfire, and I throw it out there, and that's it. There's no giant real technique to it besides after you burn all the paint and the coatings off of it, you get down to bare metal, you just basically let it sit out. And what I'm going to do with the metal that I'm burning for this project here, for the GeoCart, is I'm going to burn all the paint off, and then I'm going to let it rust, but I'm going to assemble it in the vehicle before I add any kind of special rust effects. Like you can spray things like vinegar or some kind of, there's acids that you can spray on it that you'll find at a hardware store for clearing out clogs in your drain. I forgot what it's called, but you can spray muriatic acid, that's what it's called. Muriatic, something like that. And you can spray that on there and it'll rust the heck out of bare metal. I'll do that a little bit, but while I'm assembling the vehicle, I will keep it bare metal. It makes it easier to weld, easier to handle, and then once that's all together, then I might do some of those effects, but not yet. So it's a super simple process. You basically take the metal, and what I did was I took some metal from an old bed, an old bunk bed that was my daughter's bed when they were growing up, my oldest daughters, and they no longer used them, but I kept the metal because I keep metal. That's what I do, I just keep metal. And I cut it up to be the right shape and size, and I played with the size a little bit to fit into the GeoCart. And I loved it. I loved how it worked out, but it was white. It still had that white paint on it. And I said to myself, I could keep it on there. I could sand it. I could paint it. I could do things. Well, no. The way I do things is I throw it in the fire. Kill it with fire, rust it with fire. That's my motto. So I threw the stuff in the fire. I let it sit there for a little while. You don't want to let it sit too long because it will actually begin to kind of warp the metal. If you've ever seen a vehicle that's been in a complete fire, the metal is warped and it's never really restorable after that. Even like people will take old cars and restore them, they have to do a lot of work to the metal on burned up cars to get them back to normal. But so I'll throw it in the fire, burn it off just enough to get that paint off and to kind of char I'll leave some of the paint on. I don't want to take all the paint off. I want to char some of the paint. Some of the paint stays, some of it bubbles, some of it is completely off so that it's bare metal. And as long as you have that variety, that's what looks good, is that variety. You don't want to do one of anything all over. So I get all the paint off, I let it sit, cool down, and then I'm going to assemble it in the vehicle and kind of let Mother Nature take it from there. Once I finish this thing, I'm going to have it sitting outside anyway. That's what I did with septic tank. I literally just had it sitting outside for months, and it just, it's a natural effect. It's a natural process, I guess you could say, that happens to that. So that's all there is to it. It's super easy. It's pretty hands-off. You just have to make sure you wear some good gloves. I wore welding gloves when I was flipping the metal in the fire and everything. But let's take a look at what that looks like now that the metal's cooled and all the paint is burned off. I'm going to put it in this Geo, and we're going to take a look at kind of a rough mock-up of what I want to do with it. All right, so here's a very rough mock-up of how these are going to look inside the cart. I love the effect that happened with the paint. I think that came out beautifully. And of course, these are not going to go right here because that's where the seat will be. I'm going to bend them back a little bit more, maybe put these bars a little further back. They're probably attached down here. Weld some plates on the bottoms of these and then bolt these in. And that's probably how I'll do it. But I really like the look. It gives you kind of a general idea of how that's going to be in the back. And then of course there will be crossbars. This is just where I can set it up right now as a rough estimate, but I'll also cut this stuff off. This back part, I'm going to cut all that off on both sides so that you will just see the bars as the back end of the vehicle. And I'll probably cut it, let's see, I'll probably cut it here. I cut this down so that it will still have kind of like sides for people. You know, if people sit back here, they can hold on to these bars. I'll probably weld some handles on here. Well, you know, we'll see how everything goes. And up top here is this nice curved bar that will fill out that top frame really nicely. Now this is thin metal. You know, it's here's some of the metal before I charred it, and you can see, let's see if I can see a piece here. Here we go. See how thin that is. You know, so it's not like a roll bar material. It's just basically for show, and it'll add a little bit of structure back there. It's not, you know, it's not aluminum foil, but it will it'll help to add some structure a little bit to that back end. Especially once I cut all that structural stuff out from the sides there. So I'm really excited about how this will look. Let's kind of take a look from this angle over here. I don't know if you can see it with that backlight, but once I cut those pieces out, I think that'll look really sharp. It'll look like more like a go-kart. And then of course I'm gonna take more of the skins off, probably take the skin off that back part there like I did with the door, but not so cleanly. I think I did too clean of a job there taking that off. The other door I'll probably do something different with it because I don't like symmetry. I like everything to be a little bit asymmetrical. Now, I took a lot of the panels off. I did this crazy thing to the door. If you follow me on Instagram, you already saw this. But basically, I took the entire skin off of this door to mainly to reduce weight. I mean, this thing is light now, but it still closes, it still latches, and it's still, you can still open it with the little bar right here. I'll probably cover this with some really light metal on some parts, and I'll probably burn it up a little bit to get some better some rust effects on here. And in the back here, I made a little bed here out of some old barn wood, and I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. One reason I wanted to do it is I want to make a hinge on that wood there so that I have a little bit of, oh, got a metal bar in the way here. That's the problem with this garage. Metal bars everywhere. So hinge this up so that I have some extra storage under there where the spare tire used to go. We don't need spare tires, do we? No. So I might do that, I'm not sure yet. And then I took out all the seats, I took out all the interior. Geo Metro purists will hate me because this thing is 100% rust free. But you know, you got to do what you got to do, right? And then up here in the front, of course, I took the headlights out. I'm going to put some old round lights up there in the front, kind of bolt them wherever I can. I still have more stuff to remove. I want to take this AC condenser out of here. All the AC components I'm taking out to sell because AC in these cars was a pretty rare option, I hear. So sell all that on eBay and make most of my money back from this car. So yeah, there you have it. There's the little 3-cylinder monster right there. I rebuilt this last year so it looks nice and clean, but I don't know what I'm going to do about a hood yet. I actually have someone interested in buying the hood from me, so I may just sell that to get more money I try to reach zero on the expenditures on these vehicles, so that, you know, I sell the parts to make my money back, so I basically get free vehicles and beat them up. So that's how I do that. So once I sell those body parts, I'll probably build some kind of hood, but not like not like a formed hood that'll go in the same spot the other one did. It'll probably be a big piece of sheet metal that kind of goes across sloppily, maybe even crooked, like diagonal like that or something. We'll see. But there you have it so far. So let me know what you think about this project. What do you think about this rusted metal technique? If you've tried it yourself, maybe show me some pictures. You know, I'd love to see other people who have done this same thing, because I think it's super effective. I think it's a genuine, weathering technique. So I love it. So let me know in the comments what you think, and everyone out there, be careful. This coronavirus is some crazy stuff. I am secluded here on the farm, and we're I social distance anyway as a way of life. So we're staying safe, but you stay safe as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot.